if you're trying to get up there, a little slide is not necessarily a bad thing, but a slide with constriction is where we're running into the question mark.
What I just noticed you do, and again, you're just like quickly demonstrating, but what I just noticed is you were like, whoa, rather than whoa. Like that, just having that, like dropping off of that top note quicker might help me take the weight off of it a little. So let me try that with just a different rhythm on it.
Yeah, try it.
See if that helps. Okay. Whoa, whoa.
That already helps.
That was in a totally different space.
Yeah.
Hey Voxstar, and welcome to From Singer to Artist. I'm Lara Chapman, award-winning singer and songwriter turned viral vocal coach and the host of this show. At VoxTape Studios, we help singers from all over the world level up their voices by teaching them the 3 fundamental skills all singers need: technique, awareness, and artistry. Whether you're looking to go pro or just develop your voice for fun, my team and I are here to help. Check the link in the description to book your first session or grab some of our other resources. Alrighty, are you ready? Let's get started. With me today, I have the amazing Emily Tallman. Hi. Welcome.
Hello.
Thanks for being here today with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, same. So Emily, in case you don't know, Emily is one of our wonderful coaches at VoxTape Studios, doing an incredible job with our students. Every time we have a check-in session, like when the students are working with us for a little bit, you know, they get a check-in session where like, all right, how's it going? What's happening? Sing a little something. Want to hear that transformation? Every time we get to that check-in session, I'm like, whoa, okay, what happened? You've only been here for a couple months and now you're already like such a huge shift, right? Whether that's a mindset shift of like, I'm feeling so much more confident, or, you know, I like the way I sound now and I hated it before, or it's more physical where it's like, I couldn't match pitch and now it's like, wow, okay, we're actually singing songs and it's perfect. Like the notes are all there. So you get some crazy transformations for our students. So first of all, thank you. You know, like this is amazing. And I'm so glad to have you on the team and be here with you today in New York to have a little chat, talk about some music stuff.
Yes, I love it. Well, it just makes me happy like when my teaching style aligns with people's learning styles. And I feel like I try to be as adaptable as I can. And that I'm glad that that's coming up.
Well, you know, you're working with so many different kinds of people. Like when you're a voice teacher, right? Like one-on-one lessons, they're completely different personalities, completely different skill levels, completely different goals as well. So it's like, okay, I have to adjust my teaching style and, you know, what I do with these students based on who they are and their goals and their needs and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You haven't disappointed yet. You know, it's been a couple of years and you haven't disappointed yet. So we'll see.
Yeah, right.
Waiting for the day. No, I'm really not.
No, everybody's got something to say about something.
Of course. But
we run into some good people.
Yeah, absolutely. We're lucky with our students.
Yeah,
we find good people. Absolutely. Hey, before we dig into some talking stuff, like your story, how you got into this, your teaching style, what's important to you when you're working with a student, things like that. Want to do a quick little warm up?
I would love to do a little warm up.
Yes, because I'm going to have to sing later.
Yeah.
And Emily's going to coach me. And I would like to make sure I'm warm so I don't sound like a crazy person and make a fool of myself. So let's do a quick little call and response warm up.
Cool.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Just gonna clap on, snap, clap, whatever. On 2 and 4. Ba-da, ba-da.
Ba-da, ba-da.
Way, 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 way.
Way, 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 way.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Do you like vocal flips? Like, ah.
I am medium at them.
That's really good though.
I think I get a stronger flip down because I am a head dominant I'm not, let me not say that. I'm not an always head dominant singer, but my default, which I guess we'll get into eventually, but my default is like mixy.
You're in mix land.
I'm in
you
mix
are a
land,
natural mixer.
And then I think to put in chest voice or I intentionally add in extra chest. Lately, that's been a little bit easier ever since I've like really been working on it. But yeah, the soprano stuff is, I guess when we get into my story, we'll kind of get there. But the soprano stuff is just like where I kind of want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm the opposite way. I can yodel all day long. Yodel.
Yes. Know your roots.
Come on, you can do this. Yodel. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Hold on. Rhythms. Yeah, there it is. Love, 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 love. Okay. See, hold on. C, 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 C.
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 C, 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 C. Yeah, nice. It's like the song that I'm going to be doing is like all in that like
right
mixy,
there.
like powerful, breaky part where I'm like, I like to do the CCC exercise to help me get in that range there. But you know, this is as good as it's gonna get. So hopefully we got it. We can do this. Yeah, gotta rock what we got. There you go. So soprano. We're already getting into hot take. Hot take.
The urge to sing when he sings.
Hot take. And then he goes like, hot take.
Yeah.
So hot take. Or question.
Yes.
Controversial question. Soprano, alto, baritone, voice types, vocal classifications. What's your take?
I don't care.
Ta-da!
My take is that, like, here's the thing. If you're in Western classical land, it means something. I'm not in Western classical land, so if Western classical people are like, what do you mean it means something? Don't believe me. Ignore me.
Yeah.
But like, it's a way to put yourself in a box if you're not singing in an ensemble, if you're not singing a vocal part on a piece of paper. Like, I think it is nice to be able to identify where your sweet spot is. Like, I know on my performance resume, I put soprano belter because I want people to know that I'm a soprano belter because those are the things I'm going in for.
Yeah.
That's the range that I typically sing in.
Yeah.
I'm also not gonna, that doesn't mean I can't be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But I'm not putting myself in those spaces because that's not where I'm like, what I'm drawn to. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to say I'm a soprano and that means I can only sing in my head voice, or I'm a soprano belter and that means I'm only singing the crazy high stuff.
I totally agree. Like sometimes I feel like these vocal classifications, voice types, whatever it is you want to call it, they can be helpful for certain people. Like if they know these voice types, but I don't want that to put you in a box.
Yeah.
And then you're like, and I'm sticking to this, or use it as an excuse. Like,
yeah.
I'm a soprano, I can't sing low, or I'm an alto, I can't sing high, or whatever. Anyone can learn to do anything.
Yes. I think that's a lukewarm take that I agree with. It's a lukewarm take where it's like some people are really like, I can't like get stuck in the cants, but I fully agree. I think labels in general in the singing world are a nice way. It's a nice way to find identity and be like,
yeah.
When I Google soprano pop stars, soprano pop singers, that's a nice way to be like, okay, I know where to start. But then once you've sang all those songs, then what? Like, then you're like, oh, I'm out of songs for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know, like push yourself. If you're passionate, if you're really passionate about expanding, push yourself. Yeah.
I feel like voice types are great to help you identify your natural strengths. Like if you identify as a soprano, that probably means that you're more comfortable with the higher notes, right?
Yeah.
And if you identify as an alto, me, for example, then you like low notes come more easily to you. So it can help with like, if you don't know where to start, like if you're like, I don't know what I can do, what I can't do, you know, going off of these vocal classifications can be helpful.
Yeah.
But again, at the end of the day, in contemporary music, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And I've had people like ask me, and I always preface, I'm like, this is not totally relevant in the contemporary music space, especially with like, if you're trying to nail your one song at karaoke. Like this is knowing your voice type. Like I'll tell you what I perceive, but like knowing your voice type is not going to make or break your voice.
No.
It's really not going to change much unless you only allow yourself to, live in one range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why limit yourself?
Why limit yourself?
Why do that?
That's a big thing about my singing that I think I implement in my teaching a lot. Like it's really important to me as a singer to be able to do everything. I don't have to be perfect at everything, but I want to be able to do everything and have every option I possibly could, make every sound I possibly could. I was up here in New York for the Wicked open call and I was thinking, I was like, okay, well, it's an open call. So I'm gonna be like sitting outside for hours it was chilly. It was in, I think, September, October. And I was like, I'm not gonna have time to warm up and I'm belting. I'm belting high. First thing in the morning after being outside cold. This is something I need to be able to do without messing with my sound and, injuring myself. I want to be able, I want to be taken care of and walk out of the room feeling confident. And I, created a little plan. I'm going to SOVT my water bottle a little bit, just feel where things are. And I practiced roughly every day for 2 weeks singing my song cold. I was like, what is it like? What am I experiencing? How do I adjust? So I started with like cold, like maybe not first thing in the morning, but like once I like brushed my teeth and was going to sit down at my desk and start teaching, I would sing. It was a 30-second cut. So I would like sing through my cut and be like, okay, I see where that feels weird. This one spot isn't hitting the way that I want it to. So I'm going to SOV2 over that like once or twice. Yeah. And then I did that and it was sitting there. So then the next day I would SOV2 over that one spot and then it was hitting right, things like that. And, I was thinking about someone I work with who's been singing a ton lately and writing an album and things like that. And I was like, oh, she should be able to do this. She should be able to do a quick warm up and go. Yeah. Not that should be the case all the time, but I noticed that my want to be able to do everything and anything with my voice really shows up in my teaching because I want my students to be as flexible as they can. But
and with the warming up too, it's like, yes, we want to warm up if we have the time, like let's try and make a habit out of that. But sometimes it's just not the reality.
Yes. And like, what am I going to do at 6 a.m., warm up in my friend's apartment and then take the train for 20 minutes and sit outside for 2 hours and then not sing?
What song did you pick for your audition?
Called I Will Make Thunder by Lynn Schenkel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to have to listen to that song now.
It's a great, my friend Eric gave it to me.
Okay.
It's an
Shout out to Eric.
Shout out to Eric.
We're already getting into like
we're already getting into it, but
tell us a little bit more about yourself. How did you get into singing?
Yes. So I was just like always singing. The story is that my grandfather would like sing opera, not professionally, but like while he was holding me and I would like cover his mouth as like a wee baby.
No.
And then I was always singing. My grandma in her house, shout out Mia, I love you, it's like one area is just a little elevated and then the living room is just like a step down. And I would always come out and she would be presenting Emily and Olivia, and it's my sister. Wow. And I would come out and we do a little song and dance and just do that. And that I was just always singing. I just always loved to sing. That's where it kind of came first. And then my Aunt Cheryl was running a summer camp and I was going to the summer camp. It was like, you could do arts and crafts, basketball, cheerleading. It was just like kids do everything. And they were putting on Beauty and the Beast and they needed someone to play the baker. And my aunt was like, do you want to do it? And my sister was the narrator. And we jumped in and I was like, oh, I'm obsessed with this. I like got bit by, they say you get bit by the bug. Yeah. And I so was. And then the next like camp session, I was Annie and I was so fixated on Annie. I loved it. And I just was all in theater there. And then around 8th grade, my voice changed as it does for 8th graders. Yeah. And suddenly I'm belting.
And not just for guys.
For everyone. Yeah. And I went from like, the sun will come at him to like, I was singing A Whole New World and I was like, a whole new world. Like I was belting everything. Yeah. And I decided that summer, I was like, great, I have a belt now at 14, like a crazy person. I was like, great, I have a belt now. I need to become a soprano. Okay. And that summer, I literally was like, I'm going to sing head voice all the time. I tell everyone, that I learned how to sing by singing all the parts in Wicked. Like, that's just kind of, I've always really been into the creativity aspect of just using your whole voice. That's just always been my thing. That was actually my personal theme for my master's showcase. I was like, I want to use my whole voice in this hour. I did a duet showcase, and I did, except for classical, because I'm not a classical girly.
Well, you study.
I studied
contemporary.
Music. Yeah. Then I went to.
That's like a different. Like in my book, classical singing, contemporary singing, they're like two different instruments.
It's a totally different thing, and I got really positive feedback on singing classical stuff. They're like, you should do this. But I'm not drawn to it.
Well, yeah.
One day I'm gonna be at the Met, and then someone's gonna pull this up and be like, she doesn't care. Yeah, I'll be like, I mean, I love singing in that world, specifically in musical theater, because I'm just really drawn to it. Like, I'll sing the Golden Age stuff all day long. But it's funny. It started with belting, and then I was like, I need to develop my head voice. Why? Who knows why I thought that? But
that's awesome that you had those thoughts. Like, I remember like looking back at my journey. I started voice lessons when I was 13, 7th grade. And I had to wait till then because they wouldn't take anyone under 13. Yeah. And I started like a couple months before I turned 13. Anyways, that's the point. I had no clue about anything. Yeah. Like I was always like, why can't everybody else sing so much higher than me? And I can't. I didn't know head voice was a thing. Yeah. You know? So it's like you were aware of all these things. They're like, somehow. That's what I'm going to do. Somehow. And your head voice is freaking crazy. We were just messing around earlier and you were like hitting A6.
Yeah, it just like came out. I was just squeaking it out.
Squeaking it out. Whatever. I was like, not ever in my life have I been able to hit an E6 that was not a whistle.
It's so interesting. It just started it started developing, and then somehow that was my senior year of, I ended up going to school to finish the story. I did theater in high school. I was like, I have to do this for the rest of my life. I have to be in art. Like I'm so pro follow your dreams. Same. I think that's also why when people are like, give me brutal honesty. I'm like, I won't give you brutal anything. I will give you honesty. I will be truthful with you, but I'm not going to be like, yeah, that was really not good. You'd get embarrassed.
You know, my mom always says, honesty without kindness is cruelty.
Yes, it's so true. It's so true, especially when people are being gracious enough to share this huge vulnerability with you and be like, I've been working so hard at this thing and I just want to be good.
And I think we've heard too many horror stories from students who are like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago.
Yes.
This person laughed when I was singing and I never sang again till now.
And it creates these big entanglements in the voice. And you're like, why are you so tense around this one note? It's not even in your break. You can sing well above it. You can sing well below it. And it's just because like, that's the note. They put way too much mental pressure on the idea of, oh, well, like someone told me I sound like the opposite of Celine Dion or whatever. Yeah. And like,
isn't it funny how we just hold on to certain things that people tell us?
Unless you train yourself, I think mentally to kind of let it go. And I think that's one thing in the theater world that I've really learned is just like rejection is not about you. Sometimes I look too much like their ex-girlfriend they can't get out of their head. Oh yeah. Sometimes they need a replacement in 2 weeks and I'm not tall enough. And maybe they love me and they put my headshot on a shelf. Yeah. Or maybe they're like, I like everything she got, or I like everything she offered, but something's just not clicking. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Like it's not about me. I'm not that director's Kathy in the last 5 years. I'm not that director's whomever. I might be another director's, you know, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that my art is inherently less important. Yeah. Just because my performance doesn't align with the idea of what they want. And that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. I'm not mad at people for having creative ideas, but it kind of helps you. We talked a little bit about like removing the morality from singing. Like it is not inherently good or inherently bad. You're just making sound. Yeah. You're making sound. Some things may serve you better than others, and that's totally okay.
Going back to we're grabbing, like holding on to certain things that people tell us sometimes. for me as a voice teacher, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Right? Because like you have to be so careful with your words because you don't want to be the reason someone stops singing because you said something that rubbed them the wrong way.
Yes.
Or they misunderstand you. You meant one thing, but they understood it in this other way. And then that confuses them and creates a lot of tension or whatever.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that?
I'm as often as I can, I'm very intentional with my language and I try to stick to it. Unless I see that something is like really
not clicking
or like not triggering in a deep emotional way, but really just isn't making sense to someone. I will often say, instead of saying that's flat or that's sharp, which is not an inherently bad thing to say because it's just saying you're half step above or under or above. I'll try to be like, that was a little under. Let's try it again with a note. Like, let's try it again with a little bit more air. Typically, your airflow and pitch accuracy is related in what I'm hearing in your voice specifically. Like, like I try to attach, here's what happened, here is why, and here is how we can overcome the obstacle. Yeah. And I try to approach
and not just
it like
this is the problem, try again.
Yes, exactly.
Because then you're not helping to solve the problem.
And sometimes the first time doesn't work because they're nervous and the second time is perfect. And that's also perfect. But, and that's also something that I try to keep in mind too. I also question myself, not in a self-doubt way, but like, is my note going to help them if they have a performance on Saturday? I don't need to change everything. What I need to do is help them get from point A to point B.
Yeah. I was just helping out a friend's, like, oh my gosh, how old is she? 9 or 10 or something like that? Little girl auditioning for Annie. And she was singing Annie. Yeah. Like, sun will come out tomorrow. And she was so good. Like, oh my gosh, she sounded incredible. But I was like, her audition is tomorrow or 2 days from the lesson, like literally within a day or two. Yeah. I was like, here are the things that we can adjust that we have a chance at her applying and not confusing her, and then like thinking about things that are not nearly as important as singing the song, right? Yeah. And then she gets too nervous about it or whatever. But then on purpose, leaving out things that I'm like, there's no chance.
Yes, because then they're just going to be thinking about a new concept. They're not going to, they're going to be like, oh, my soft palette's doing a weird thing. Instead of being like, all right, I know that if I breathe more and press down in my shoulders, that's helping me to get to do this one thing.
So tell me a little bit more about your teaching style, because like we talked about, there's going to be lots of different people that come in your studio, different backgrounds, different experience, different goals, different people, just different. So what's your approach to that? What's your teaching style?
Yeah. So I try to be adaptable without being like too malleable. Like I uphold my boundaries of like, this is what I can provide for you. But I also try to be very straight up without being brutal. We kind of just talked about like, I can be honest without being brutal, and I can gently guide you in the direction you're looking to go without interjecting my opinion too much. I guess that's really what it is. I try to just stick to, okay, what do I know and how can I use that to solve? And I'm very upfront. Like I take my time to think through things, and like I'll say a lot like, that's really interesting. Yeah. And then I'll explain why. I try not to like over talk because their time to sing. Yeah. But I know some people are they want to do a vocal workout. They want to do a ton of exercises. They do songs all the time. That's fine. And some people are like, okay, let's just do a warm up. I just want to sing. I want to sing my songs. Yeah. And some people are in the voice, are taking voice lessons because they need a sounding board. And so I just try to, and there are a lot of different types of students, but I try to just like make things click. Like Sarah on Monday, like you saw, I wrote in my notes, star, dancer.
Yes. I was like, what is that about? So just reversing here a little, not reversing. Anyways, just going back two steps. We do check-in sessions with our students. So, I place a student with the teacher who I feel like is the best fit. And then you work with them for a little bit and then I check in, see how like show me the progress, show me the results, right? Did we make progress? Is there some sort of transformation here?
Yeah.
And so we had one of those sessions with a student called Sarah on Monday, so very recently. And I was looking through the lesson notes and there was that star dancer. And I was like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah. And we were just talking about, she was singing Someone Like You. Yeah. And it was like the word dreams goes up. The dreams came true. Yeah. And it was being a little weighed down. She was using too much, more chest voice than she needed for the style she was going for. Mm-hmm. And I just knew that she had told me she was a professional dancer for 2 years. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, let this feel like, I was like, have you ever done, a pas de chat in a lift? A pas de chat is like, it's called Step of the Cat. Yeah. And it's basically a jump where you're like, do.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And I was just thinking about
remember that.
my musical theater training and like dancing and then just doing across the floor where there's a partner guiding you and they just make you jump higher. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of related, like, think about doing a pas de chat over the word, like we're lifting through it. Dreams came true. And you know exactly what I mean.
It works so
Isn't
well.
it crazy? And it's just like adapting to what makes sense for them. Some people
I'm never going to unsee that. Hold on. I'm never going to unsee that. Just like a beautiful ballerina.
Dreams came true. And that's exactly what she was looking for. And she was no longer falling under on the note because she had a clear image of where she wanted to go.
Yeah.
I could have, so another student maybe would have worked better with, hey, let's add a little bit more breath there. Another student would have worked better with, can you throw head into that? Another one could work better with
like more technical things rather than a visual image.
Some people are very imagery based. I'm not fully an imagery based learner. Okay. So that has been something I've learned to like grow through in my teaching.
Okay. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So what's right for you is not necessarily right for your student.
Yes. 100%.
And it's important to find the balance.
Mm-hmm. And also, that's also a reason I have some people who are like, I watched like 100 YouTube videos on singing this week.
Yeah. It's like, cool.
Yeah. I'm like, awesome. But I'm never going to shame someone for that because sometimes
they're excited and they want to learn.
Exactly.
Right?
And I'll say the same thing every week and sometimes it works. Well, maybe not every week, but I'll say the same thing a few times and they'll nod, but maybe it's like not fully clicking and they see someone else phrase it a different way and they bring it to me. They're like, I heard them say this. And so then I'll be like, oh, that's actually what I mean by this. I'm so glad that another way of phrasing it has served you. And like, you feel like you're able to grow from that. It's everybody learns differently. I just, again, like with upholding my boundaries, I'm not going to teach something I'm not comfortable teaching. When in doubt, refer out. Favorite thing I've ever learned.
Yeah.
But like, I'm upfront with like, hey, if you want to learn how to sing like hardcore distortion, like I can give you a little intro to distortion. There are very, very qualified people who have written books on it. Yeah. If you want to go fully down like the screaming route, there are people who can get you there. Yeah, yeah. I can teach you how to do a little growl.
Yeah, we touch on rock singing, but not death metal.
Exactly, right? Exactly. So part of it is upholding boundaries for myself and feeling confident in my capabilities. And because I have worked through imposter syndrome.
I was just going to bring that up. I wasn't going to interrupt you, but that's exactly where I was going to go with this. Because I feel like a lot of people out there expect, well, there's two kinds of people.
Yes.
There's the kinds of people that are like those who can't do teach, which is, I'm sorry, not how that works.
The case at all.
Or at least it shouldn't be.
Like,
because
you want me to show you?
It's like, no. Yeah. And then the other side is like, well, if you can't do it, like, how am I going to, like, hold on. Just because we're voice teachers doesn't mean we need to master every single thing there is in singing. It's impossible. Yes. Like, or improbable. I don't like to use the word impossible.
Yes, but it like, is, yes. To master everything is just a little nuts.
Unattainable.
And it's also like, again, Olympic swimmers aren't in tennis lessons every week.
Okay, but hold on. But
going
even
back into
in Olympic swimming, there's like how many different
ways to do
swim.
it. I'm not the person to talk about it, but
I know, but like you're I'm not going to win all 8 different kinds of swimming things.
Yes.
Styles.
Yes.
Swimming styles.
Things.
Like whatever that's called.
Love.
Right? But it's all still swimming.
Yes.
But you're only going to win at 1 or 2.
Because you're training in a specific way, because you're playing to your strengths, to your wins. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's the same thing for singing. Like I get people asking me about whistle all the time. And I'm like, not your girl. Sorry.
Yeah. I was like, I can get you up into those notes. My approach is usually in more of a soprano way than a whistle way. That's just how I rock it. I can manipulate my way into a whistle a little bit, not in a way that's going to harm me long term, but probably not in a way that's going to make me put it in an album. Yeah. But like if you need me to pop up there, especially if I'm singing an ensemble piece and there are a lot of people singing, you know, but yeah, that's just exactly.
Well, and one thing I like that you touched on as well is like, I'm so glad you brought in that video and like that clicked with you. It's saying the same thing, just phrased differently. That's what I like about our studio.
Yes.
We have different coaches. 4. Yeah. I'm like, how many do we have? 4 plus me.
Yeah.
And if something doesn't click with a student, we can switch them to a different teacher for one lesson or for the remainder of their lessons or whatever, right? Like it gives us that flexibility. And, you know, it doesn't happen often where we do switcheroos.
Yeah.
But sometimes like if that's what serves the student the best, then that's what we go for.
And it has nothing to do with the other teacher. Like at least at VoxTape, it has nothing to do with the other teacher.
Well, that's because we're awesome.
Because you're killing it. Yeah. but it's
different styles.
It's different styles. Right. And I see things in a more technical way or a very, very artistic way, which is also something the people who want to get in and sing songs, I try to teach them technique through artistry. Like we start in song work and I'm like, all right, well, what does this feel like? What does this emotionally, you know? Yeah. How are you connecting there? Oh, it's sad. Let's expand on that. What does sad sound like? Like, what does that make you think of? What physicality comes with that? And like when we dissect artistry, we can really get into it. But then we realize, oh, it kind of comes with maybe it's a little warmer tone. All right, now we're lowering the larynx a little bit.
A little
breathier. Maybe we're using some chest voice when we go from sad to like sad angry if we're singing a breakup song, you know? And now we're like, great, we have our technical things to work on. Oh, I see that you want to sound sad in this part. So let's work on a neutral to low larynx in chest voice. And we're just going to isolate that.
I have never heard of anyone that uses that approach. That's incredible. I have worked with like 15 different coaches myself, like as the student, not once.
Works backwards?
Yeah.
Or backwards?
Yeah, not once.
It just has to be with like that's why I say I'm adaptable. Because there's some people who are like, what do you mean? What do you mean sound sad? Yeah. And it flips their world upside down. And sometimes that is very helpful. Flipping their world upside down opens them up because they're out of their idea of singing.
Especially with someone who has had a lot of experience before and they're very much in their lane. And it's like, it's not serving you.
And a lot of teachers. Someone who's had a lot of teachers, which I love. I've had a lot in a short amount of time. I've had a lot of teachers just because that's kind of how it worked in undergrad and in school. Yeah. I've really only taken lessons at school. I started my vocal technique in undergrad, had a teacher for 2 years, had a teacher for 1 year, had another teacher for 1 year, and then semester, year. And that's all.
It's the same for me during college days. So
that's all the vocal training I've had, plus some drop-ins with like my teacher peers when I want to work on an audition or I just want to be singing for fun. So I really like getting a lot of different approaches because I like to kind of use my teacher as a sounding board. I'm also in a space where like I have a master's of music. I've been singing a lot. Yeah. I feel very technically sound. Typically we're not working on technique. Doesn't mean I'm perfect, but typically we're not working on technique. It's more of like, this is what I'm going for. Is this reading? Cool. Next song. This is what I'm going for. Is this reading? Let's do it again. Oh, okay. I kind of want to work on that one part. I'm aiming for this, whatever, and try to tweak it.
So yourself are still taking lessons?
Yes. I'll say
not
yes.
like regularly,
not
but
right now in this moment, but like probably starting up again soon. Yeah. Yeah. Because I sing more when I am in lessons.
Yeah, same.
And I feel I need to perform. Whether that means to be, which is something I've learned. I love teaching. It fills my cup so much, but performing also really fills my cup. And I prefer not to do one without the other.
Yeah.
really like doing them at the same time because they inform each other.
Of course, yeah.
And I've always been a performer. Like I just love doing it. I love. I think that's also why I teach with such an artistic approach. I mean, like I'm an actor. I'm very. I was always a singer, and then I started taking acting classes in college, and I was like, this.
Yeah.
I was like, this is something different.
Yeah.
This hits me in a different way. That singing also fills my cup, but being emotionally connected and using art really for expression, not because I love singing high and love singing for fun. It's just a different way of doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to have to record a whole episode on emotional connection because it's interesting to hear you talk about this because my background is the literal opposite.
The opposite?
Yeah. So we'll talk about that in another episode. Otherwise, this one's going to be 3 hours long.
Yes.
But I love it. I would love to, like do a little coaching session.
I would love to do that.
Like, because, we can describe our style all day
Forever,
long.
yeah.
It's like, okay, well, let's just put it to the test. I mean, it's not a test, but like, let's just, let's see it. Like, what is the style?
What's happening in real time? And I can also break down as we're doing it, like, this is what I hear and this is why I'm giving you the thing.
Yeah.
So you can kind of like see how my crazy brain works.
Alrighty, we're doing beautiful things. Benson Boone.
Excited.
For a while there, it was rough. Lately, I've been doing better than the last 4 cold Decembers I recall. I see my family every month. I found a girl my parents love. She'll come and stay the night, and I think I might have it all. And I thank God every day for the girl He sent my way. But I know the things He gives me, He can take away. And I hold you every night. It's a feeling I wanna get used to. But there's no man as terrified as the man who stands to lose you. Oh, I hope I don't lose you. Please stay. I want you, I need you, oh God. Don't take these beautiful things that I've got. Please stay. I want you, I need you, oh God. Don't take these beautiful things that I've got. Whoa. Ooh, please don't take.
Alrighty, so first I just want you to tell me about that.
It felt good.
Yes.
Like physically,
Okay.
felt good. Like not once was I like, hold on, that feels stuck.
Yeah.
Because usually that's my tendency as a singer is to push and force and strain.
Yeah.
And like my throat just going, you know, my vocal folds literally just pinching together
pressing.
too tightly. And then there's no air coming through and I'm just muscling through.
Yeah.
So singing this, I was like, I can do this 10 more times and be fine.
Yeah.
So that to me is a major win. Funny enough, it's not necessarily the chorus, like the please stay, I want you, I need you, oh God. Like I'm feeling pretty good about that. The whoa, whoa. I don't know if because I'm switching into like on purpose into lighter. Whoa, ah, on purpose, lighter there. Maybe we can play around with like making that more powerful and like belting it more. Yeah. But anyways, where I was going with my initial thought was, I'll hold you every night. It's a feeling I want to get used to. There's no man as man. That note sits in a weird spot. So I have to find it in a way where I'm not going flat on the notes. I like to go under, as you like to call it.
Fall under.
There's no man. Because if I'm going, there's no man, I feel like
I'm going it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think those are really great observations. And I And I always say that too. But truly they are. It sounds like you're in touch with your instrument and you're in touch with where you want to go.
After 15 years, like
right?
what the heck?
But you're also in touch with where you want to go. With like, all right, I have a clear intention with this song. I have roughly a goal sound. Not that you have to achieve it every time, but you have a place you want to go.
Yeah.
You made this hard for me, which I love. I love a challenge because you are coming with, this is comfortable and easy and it feels awesome. You have a few things.
Usually it would be a challenge. Like a song like this would be a challenge, but my voice lessons have paid off. So
I love that.
Here we are.
I love that. I also think it's important to note that there's a mic right here and there is no feeling of needing to communicate to me across the room. We're like right across from each other. I think that also could play a part in like, if you have a tendency to push, there's no need because I'm right here. Does that make sense?
So do you feel like I did a good job at not?
Yes. Yes, I think so. I think you were very successful with it. That's another thing I say. I typically don't say good or bad. I say successful.
Oh, there you go.
Because you succeeded at the thing you were trying to do.
Yeah.
And I won't say unsuccessful.
Yes.
But
it's a challenge.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge. Yeah. We talked I like to talk in wins and challenge. Usually I would break that down, but you already said it.
Yeah.
So one thing I noticed that I thought was very, very successful and very clear in your artistry was in the chorus, it was, and I thank God every day, and the something you. I think it was very clear in your artistry. I don't know if this was your intention, but it's almost like the floating of the word before the noun, or the verb before the noun.
Like, thank you.
It sounds like that. And it sounds like, here's my wish and I'm grounded in the result. I'm grounded in the God, whatever God is to you.
God came out interesting.
Yes.
Like, and I think God, I had a little God and not God. Like it was more God, like brighter. It was brighter than, and I thank God. It was not that. It was, and I thank God. It was God.
I also think, but that's also a moment.
Sorry.
It's also a moment that's telling me, okay, your timbre is adjusted for this song because you're not grabbing from low larynx trying to create a belt in this like heavy sound. So I think that also often there are signs in the verse or in the easy part that is going to tell you what the challenge is or what is causing the challenge in the hard part. Yeah. And that's a clear representation of the opposite, where we can hear in the easy part that you're setting yourself up for success for when you get to beautiful, because you're not on God, beautiful. You kind of hear that.
Oh, I like the little grit there.
With a little bit of compression.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very successful. We're going to talk about that. One note I didn't notice, it didn't raise a red flag to me, the one where you feel like it's in an odd place, but I would love to break it down.
Yeah, the man part.
Man.
And there's no man as terrified as the man who stands to lose you. It's a man.
Is it on every man or is it after terrified? Typically.
There's no man. It's the first one. That's terrified. Fight. It's easier because I'm switching more into like a breathier, lighter tone. Yeah. There's no man as terrified. Like I'm like switching it up there. That was a little sharp, but
I know what you mean. I know where you're going.
Yeah, there's no man as terrified as the man. It sits in such. What note is that? It's like the worst spot in my voice. Man.
It's flat. So I would say this is around where I recognize often like, I'll say a first break where it's a lot less noticeable in people who mix a lot. But this is around this area is where male voices, I'm being very general when I say male, but male voices typically will start breaking. And that is where female voices will typically start switching from your full chest to mix. It's there, or if you are really, really strong in your head voice, it's around an A.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely more lower in my range. I mean, you can hear it in my speaking voice. Yeah. Like I'm in the basement.
Yeah.
But so for me, it's like, man. If I give it more volume and I give it more chest, whatever that means, then I can hit the note. Like that's fine. But I don't want it to be so powerful there because it's in a softer you can hear it in the music. It's softer, right?
We want to be complimenting what the music is doing, or just letting the music inform the choice you want to make.
Yeah.
And I think, you're right there. One thing I noticed those last 2 times specifically were that your M is lower. You're going, man. Can you try, man? There's no man.
Man is terrified.
Can you try the whole line?
There's no man as terrified as the man who stands. That one was good.
That one, yeah. As the man. So think about, I was just talking to someone about this, getting on the note and the consonant before the vowel you need to.
Yeah.
There's no man.
There's no man. There's no.
Yeah.
There's no man. Why is that so hard? There's no man as terrified as the man who stands. Am I doing it?
Yeah,
Am I
you're
still
doing
going meh? No, okay.
Yeah, you're still doing it. Because now you're not, for lack of better terms, wasting your vowel time getting to the note.
Yeah.
Man.
There's no man.
There's no man. And then your M is a little, it's a pressure launch pad right now. It's kind of going, there's no man.
Yeah.
There's
you
no
have the
man.
sound, yeah.
Can you think about your lips barely closing on that?
There's no man. No. There's no man as terrified. There's no man.
How's that feeling?
There's no man as there's no man as terrified.
How's that experience?
It's a mental experience.
It's because it's so minute. It's very minute.
Yeah.
And
but it just takes the pressure off the notes.
Yes, it takes the pressure off the notes. I'm also giving you specifically that note because you've told me that you're a bottom heavy singer.
I am.
So if you're typically going to bring up weight, how can we, instead of going down to the weight and trying to shed it, how can we just start with less?
Without the weight, yeah. There's no man as terrified as the man who stands to lose you.
Does that feel more stable?
It sure does.
Big dub.
Does it sound good?
Yes, it sounds lovely.
It feels a lot more stable.
Yeah. It sounds like the goal you told me you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Oh, me like it. Okay.
Yeah. The next thing I want to look into is that ooh. I kind of want to skip the other stuff because it seemed very successful to me. And
if you're telling me that it sounded decent, then I'm good with it because it felt good.
Good. It feels good. It sounded decent to your ear. It sounds decent to my ear.
We'll go with decent.
Those are I think beyond decent, but I try to live in neutrality as much as I can.
Yeah, fair.
I probably wouldn't say decent. I'm saying decent because
that's what I said.
It.
No, you're adapting to my language that I'm using. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that that part there. Again, I am switching on purpose. I can try and belt it for you so you can, that's the part you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I can try to belt it so you can hear what it sounds like if you want.
Can I ask you a question first? Why does that part go up? Not because it's on the page and that's how he sings it.
See, this is.
What are you communicating with? Whoa.
It's kind of a begging thing, right? Like now I finally have a good thing. Like, don't you dare take it away from me now.
Okay. So can we flip that language of don't you dare take this away from me? I'm finally have a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because that relates more to what you are doing vocally. And what it sounds to me from what you're saying is comfortable in your vocals also serves the piece where you have a little bit of a pullback or a little bit of a lightening there. Or,
I think I'm doing it because I'm afraid
of belting.
It.
Okay, so let's reverse the language back then. Find that desperation. I believe that you can do it. Can you think of it as not asking. I want you to live in the action of begging.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who are you begging?
In my book, because I try to relate it to myself and not
Benson Boone.
Not like, because he's like, and I thank God every day. Like, that doesn't apply to me that well. So for me, I would put it into like an actual situation, like with actual people.
Yep.
And then it's more like, hey, I thought we have a good thing. Like, why are you leaving now?
So you're asking the person.
The person.
Okay, that's a very clear thing to note because where are they standing? Mm-hmm. And I like to just to kind of preface what or explain what I'm doing. I like to use roughly some acting techniques to get there, but that doesn't mean we're gonna act.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just a nice way to start getting clarity, especially on oohs and hms and ohs and little riffs. Like, why are you doing it other than that's how the song goes?
Yeah.
So, and you don't have to tell me. I always say that to my students. Sometimes they tell me, sometimes they don't. And I don't need to know. Like, just think of the person. And I want you to just like take a beat. You can close your eyes or you can keep them open, whatever feels right for you in the moment. And I just want you to think they're walking out that door and you need them to turn around. So we'll say there's a door there.
Yeah. Imaginary door.
Yeah. Can you try? Would you like to get into it?
Okay, let's do it. Please say, I want you, I need you, oh God. Don't take these beautiful things that I've got. Please stay. I want you, I need you, oh God. Don't take these beautiful things that I've got. Please don't take. That is so high. Holy
It's
shit.
high.
It's high.
It's high. It's an F.
It's an
Have you ever lived there before?
in exercises.
Okay. Yes. In
Yes.
exercises, you've lived there. Well, first tell me about that experience before we break down some technical stuff.
I had to pace myself. Like
Yes.
immediately I was like, hold on, don't get into hot. Right.
Yes.
Because just like, again, that's when, you know, I always have to be careful when I'm bringing in like the storytelling, the emotion and all that stuff. You're like, we're still only in the first chorus.
Yes. We're still only in the first chorus. And like I mentioned at some point, there are more ways to express other than volume.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I wouldn't say that that was a volume problem. I heard some squeeze up there and instability. Were you thinking, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. Now I'm here.
I was trying to tell myself to just go for it, just go for it, just go for it. And then I was like, holy shit, this is high.
It's high.
Yeah.
It's high. What I heard was a little more sliding than you probably need. And you started a little heavier than you need for where you're trying to go and what your tendencies currently are.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
So
for,
start later.
yeah.
Yeah.
Start. And then give yourself a whoa, put the W up there with it.
Okay.
Oh, whoa. Pretend I
Okay.
felt it.
Okay. Okay. Whoa.
Yeah. Whoa. So it's
yeah,
getting in
feelings.
your, when I do that,
Scoop up.
I also, sometimes I need to feel something, then I can explain what happened. I felt a little bit of tongue.
Oh, okay.
A little bit of tongue, not pulling back, just grabbing. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
We're trying to get, whoa, whoa. If you're trying to get up there, a little slide is not necessarily a bad thing, but a slide with constriction is where we're running into the question mark.
What I just noticed you do, and again, you're just like quickly demonstrating,
Yep.
but what I just noticed is you were like, whoa, rather than whoa. Like that, just having that, like dropping off of that top note quicker might help me take the weight off of
Yes.
it a little. So let me
Yeah.
try that
Go
with
ahead.
just a different rhythm on it.
Yeah, try
and
it.
see if that helps. Okay. Whoa.
That already helps.
That was in a totally different space.
Yeah.
Should I add distortion on that top note? I don't know if I can. Like a little gritty. Because sometimes when I add grit, it helps me reach the high
I
notes.
was going to say the grit means you're going to be doing a lot less
Yeah.
in a way that I think will serve you, which is I think why the high part feels so easy
Mm-hmm.
for you, because finding that
Yeah.
on there, well, not quite that, but
Yeah.
finding that on, exactly. You're letting that mix have a little bit more, what I hear is just a little bit more like head in it.
Yeah.
But it reads because we have that grit in there.
Yeah. So try and add distortion on that.
Let's see what happens.
I don't know if I can do that. I've
Since
never
you have
tried that.
access to it already,
Yeah.
I will say, yeah.
Okay. Well, let me try it.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Can't make any promises.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounded a little.
Yeah, that was
grinding.
grippy.
It's that slide. Whoa. That,
Yeah.
I'm really feeling.
Just go straight up for it. That is so much harder than it seems.
Isolating it?
Yeah. No, like not sliding up
not
to
sliding
it.
into it. Well, can we think in two parts? Can we just do whoa, whoa? Just starting there.
F out of fucking blue. Okay, whatever. Whoa!
That distortion seemed a lot less.
It was less. It still does not feel as effortless as I would like it to.
And can you try no distortion? Think about, I'll offer this, taking in a little bit more air and using it all the whole time. Just whoa.
Whoa!
Can you do that again before I talk about it?
No. Okay. Whoa! Okay, hold on.
Okay.
I go too wide.
You got it. Yeah, your mouth opened too much.
Yes. Whoa! The first time before you set to do it again, that one was better. I like that one. But
what was that experience like?
it was like it just came out.
Mm-hmm.
Then it felt brighter, like
It was a little bit
mixier, like twangier. Maybe is
it could have had a little bit more twang. What I noticed was that there was less pressure because you were letting that air flow through.
So what usually works for me in that case is just make it breathy.
Make it breath. So the word breathy trigger. And when you think that for yourself, do you think I'm gonna make it breathy, but you belt it, or do you think
no,
and then
belt
you add
it.
pressure?
Belt it, but in a breathy way. But it's not going to sound breathy. But
Yes,
my brain, that's like open those goddamn vocal folds so they're not squeezing together so
there
tightly.
you go. So that's a really good example of like me saying something and you have verbiage that works really well for you, but it's the same concept.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love that just happened. That's awesome. So can you try making it breathy?
Making it breathy.
Before I ask you to do it again, 1, how are you feeling?
Fine, yeah.
Okay, good. 2, is isolating it does that feel like it's helping, or does that feel like you're starting with more?
No, I'm actually impressed that I even have a shot at getting up there
without
just like boom, like just nothing leading up to it. Just go for it. Like, okay.
Yeah. Can you can you try it again and think breathy?
Okay.
Since breathy is
Oh, hold on. Oh, it's higher than I thought it was.
Whoa! That's where we are.
Was it a little flat?
I think it maybe had a little. It wasn't on top of the note. I wouldn't say it was fully flat.
Okay,
but
fair.
it was like
just not
maybe
perfectly
right
centered.
there. Not perfectly centered. Yeah. So
did you hear the fry come in? That is typical for me, up in that range.
Interesting.
Where that's just my vocal folds just going trying to pinch together a little too much.
That's very interesting.
So that's very typical. That's what I'm working on in my voice lessons, to not get them.
To not get that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I try so?
Yeah.
See if that helps.
To get that air flowing.
So.
You had it until you started switching the note.
Okay.
That's what I noticed, because did you hear a little bit of that?
A little bit.
It was like your body was like, oh yeah, let me add pressure. We're going down.
Like the hard part's over. Like, yeah.
Can you give it a Z?
Z.
Okay. Where did you do the Z? You did Z.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in a belt.
You don't have to do too much. You can add a little bit of belt to what you just did.
Sorry, I was like, what does that even, like, I know what it means, but I'm
like, where is that?
Like, where does that sit? Where does that, like, how does that feel in my voice?
Yeah. Zoo!
See, I immediately just start going down.
Under as well. Yeah. Zoo! That's where we're going. Why are you looking at me?
Because you're smiling and I want your opinion. Still, like I'm a little unsure on it. Like,
okay, yeah.
Like none of these ones where I'm like, I nailed it.
Yes.
You know?
Is nailing it feel? And is the experience of nailing it aligned with what you did that one time?
When I did that one
like
time.
the first time you're like, ooh.
Yeah, that maybe it was because I like not on purpose, like was under the note. And I thought we were all the way up. And that's why, maybe it was an E instead of an F, right? But holding for New York Sirens. It hasn't felt like, like that feels like I'm right on the note. It's not necessarily like a physical thing where I'm like, it's like squeezing or anything like that. It's more like, I need just a little bit more stretch, you know?
Stretch. So I'm going to ask you, and then I'll give my 2 cents. What does that mean for you if it needs a little bit more stretch?
Is a little bit more length in the vocal folds so I can get all the way up to the note.
And what is that? So how do you do that?
How do I do
this isn't
that?
Like pop. There's no wrong. Well, there's an answer I'm looking for, but like I'm not expecting you to be there.
Well, usually what I would do is switch into a head voice and go higher, and then come back down to that, and then I had the stretch in the vocal folds, and that's why when I do my warm ups and my exercises, I go all the way up, like as high as I humanly can. Which is not that high for you, but for me, it's very high. So anyways, I try to go as high as possible so that I get the stretch.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyways.
So if I say sprinkle a little bit of head into your mix, does that do anything for you? Or are you like...
On paper, yeah. Can I translate it? We'll see.
I want you, we're going to start lower. So this is going to have a little bit of a challenge. Because we're doing an exercise. I'm going to start a little bit lower. The challenge here is that we're going to be lower, which means you're going to have easier access to chest. Excuse me. You're going to have easier access to chest. I want you to start and mix and slide up, keeping that, finding that stretch. Whoa. You can add a little bit of brightness there, but start and mix, stay in mix.
Okay.
Mix, belt, land.
I lose, like,
you're
for
losing
me, it's so hard to not go, whoa.
Yeah. Whoa. Whoa. Can you do a physical?
Whoa. What the fuck?
Sometimes you just need a kinesthetic connection. Sometimes I think there's not science behind this. Your hand, maybe there is, but I didn't research it. Your hands can tell your voice what to do. If that makes any sense. Yeah. If we're stretching, we're saying, this is what I want you to do. Brain, communicate. Communicate. We're going to jump. Whoa.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, you're right there. And when I feel that, I'm feeling a little like grip in the back of my tongue. Not full not retraction. Can you try? Yeah, tongue out. If you zoom into that,
sorry, yeah.
I was gonna say, if you zoom into that close up, you'll see a little quiver in the tongue.
Okay,
little. But please tell me what you were experiencing here.
My vocal folds are just grabby.
They're grabby. Interesting.
I like to just.
They like to, yeah.
So when I practice this kind of stuff, I'm always like, breathy. Make it breathy. Yeah.
You found it. Then we did it a few more times, and we were really hitting a wall. I switched topics.
Yeah.
And then we can get back into it. Some people, we literally just switch. And there's method to the madness, but like we switch, get their brain off something else. And then randomly, when they may not think we're done with the exercise, I'm like, can you try the song again? And then we do it, and then they just like do it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just get caught in your own head of your idea of, here's what I always bring up too much. And I'm not saying this is fully in your head thing. But what could have happened, I think, is like we got it. And then it was like, okay, how do I get it again? When I always do this one thing, I'll say wrong for lack of better words. And then the weight comes up, and then the weight comes up, and then the weight comes up. So what I would do, we lived on it longer than I normally would today, but I would say, okay, let's just check in with head voice. And we would do a little woo, woo. Find a little bit of a low larynx position or a little yawn. Woo. Just what I'm trying to do is get your voice in we're not doing anything near what we just did.
Yeah.
Watch. Woo, woo, and here we are on the F. Woo, let's just live here. One more. Up one more. And now we'll just do a little bit of agility because we can't use too much pressure. Let me not say can't. It's much easier to riff with lighter closure.
Yeah.
We're going
terrible riffer.
Okay, we're gonna do. Hey. So we're not riffing. We're just.
Hey.
Can you try not to do a full flip? It can just be normal mix, chill mix.
Hey.
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 Now just try to speed it up a little bit. Hey.
Hey. Hey.
I know I demonstrated with jaw tension. Pretend I didn't.
Oh. Hey.
Find a little bit more mix. Hey. Like you're talking.
Hey.
You do. Hey.
Hey.
Hey. Hey.
Hey.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey. Hey. Hey.
How's your jaw feeling?
Hey. 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 Hey.
Can we just do the song again?
Please stay. I want you, I need you, oh God. Don't take these beautiful things that I've got. Please stay. I want you, I need you, oh God. Don't take these beautiful things that I've got. Oh, please don't take. So I wanted you to, I forgot to do the distortion on those because I was already in my mind on whoa. So, and I was like, that's gonna be clean. So I forgot to do the distortion on that. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, that's harder to sing without the distortion. Mm-hmm. And then I was thinking about that. It's like so hard to be in the moment.
It's so hard to be in the moment. Yeah, it's so hard to be in the moment. But how was that? Whoa!
Honestly, pretty good. I think again, it was like
it's not in the middle. It wasn't in the center of the pitch.
Yeah.
You can get away with it in this song.
Fair.
Not that that's the most sustainable practice that we want to have. But if you had to sing this song tomorrow and it sounded like that, it'd be okay. We'd be chilling. Yeah.
And in the studio, just
get it right in the center. But yeah, that's like, I kind of went through like a few different approaches with you, like knowing what you've told me, and then just kind of showing you like how I start from Artistry sometimes.
Yeah.
Did any of that, which were
that last one was pretty good.
Was the most successful. Get away from it. Do a little head voice.
Get the stretch. Because it's really the stretch for me. Because when the vocal folds are stretching more, they're also pinching less for some reason. So yeah, that's just really helpful.
Yeah, it's that bicep tricep thing.
Yeah.
Or we're stretching the bicep, even if we're not like stretching. You know, when that tricep's engaged. Very similar.
Yeah,
thing.
That was good. I think I'm pretty close, and if I just worked on this like a little bit, I could get it.
Fully warmed up. Haven't been talking in your low chest voice all day. It wasn't
bad speaking
20
habits.
degrees outside. Yeah, like all of these different.
That's things. Like the circumstances,
right? Yeah, that's the life.
That's so when you're performing, right? Like rarely is everything perfect.
Right, yeah, right where you need it.
All your circumstances, right? All your environment, whatever, right? Like no, like you gotta do with what you got. So. Yeah.
And what I would give you to practice if, like, let's say we're meeting again in a week, what I would say is live in a descending head voice because we want to teach our head voice how to go down because you already got chest voice going up. Yeah. And then find that mix. Though we would probably live in that exercise for longer where you live in mix where your chest voice usually is and slide that up.
Yeah.
So you can really practice that stretching feeling.
Awesome.
That's what I would say. Go practice.
I shall. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Just a few different approaches.
Not me going,
and then me being like, what does that feel like?
Like a dying goat or something like that. Okay, whatever. But that's a part of the process, right?
That's a
like,
huge part of the process.
you have to make crazy or like allow yourself to not be perfect, to be like, this is what's happening.
Yes. Well,
then we can make adjustments.
And then allow yourself as a teacher to like sit and process.
And, you know, going back to taking voice lessons myself, I took a break for a little bit. Like at first I was like, I'm a voice teacher on the internet and I have to be perfect in my voice lessons because otherwise they're going to be like, why is this person teaching other people how to sing? Yeah. You know, like just imposter syndrome is what it is.
It's very real. Yeah.
And so that just getting back into taking lessons myself has really helped me to be like, no one's expecting perfection from you except yourself. So just let it go and have it be a learning process. Yes. That's all you can do.
And be okay with like, be comfortable, kind of like with what I did. Like, let's try. This is my first time working with your voice. Or even if it's my third time working with your voice, that's not a lot of time. That's 3 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe if I didn't ask you to introduce yourself at the beginning of the first hour, and then I asked you, hey, how's your day been? And you had a really bad day, so you told me about it for 15 minutes, like whatever, which is like, okay, those things happen. But like, it's like maybe 3 hours of hearing you in general. That's not a ton of time. It definitely gives me information, but it's not a ton of time for me to fully get your learning style, see what your typical habits and tendencies are, and be able to perfectly work around them. If you are a professional or living in the professional world, or just consider yourself a very advanced singer and in tune with your voice, then you can say, oh, here are my habits, here are my tendencies. Yeah. And imagery doesn't really work for me too well. Like, you know, if you go in saying that, I'm like, great, I have that information about you. I can probably be more effective from halfway through our first lesson. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. But it takes a little bit of time to get to know each other's style.
Yes. And don't worry. This message to all the teachers out there from a wise 25-year-old. No, but like allow yourself to try something. And if it doesn't work, and this is with nuance, like don't do harm. Please. But like allow yourself to try something kind of like we did. And if it doesn't serve your student, move on. And don't beat yourself up about being like, I didn't get it right on the first try. That's okay.
It happens all the time.
As a singer, like they didn't either. And that's fine. And that's why you're both in this spot.
And that's why the internet is so hard sometimes because like you see these clips that are, you know, pieced together. Yes. And then it's like, oh my God, in 5 minutes, I got this amazing result. Like, sure, it might've been 5 minutes, right? Even if there's no cutting, no editing, no nothing. Sure. But also, like, you don't know what happened leading up to it. Yes. And you don't know what's going to happen after it. Can they do it again?
Yes, exactly. Like, did you go practice? Are you tuned into what you're experiencing? Or did that note just come out because the adrenaline is rushing and someone is doing it right next to you, demonstrating, and then you like call and response. Another thing that we played around with was like, does it work? Is it easier for you to mentally like kind of let go of this as a high note if I'm demonstrating it for you? Does it sound less high in a voice than it does in the piano? Sometimes that's just something I kind of threw in. Yeah. I think it did a little bit. It wasn't like the most effective thing for your voice, but
I do think it helped. Like, cause like just playing it on the piano, I was like, oh,
you're like, it's an F. Yeah.
Well, also I am not allowed to know what notes I'm singing. Because if I know it goes,
it's like, all right, we got to brace for impact.
Yeah. Moral of the story, the better you know yourself and your tendencies, the faster you can learn. Yeah. But that takes time to get to that point. It's all about awareness.
And trial and error is okay.
Yeah. And it's okay to explore that with your teacher. So you can both learn.
And that's one thing, circling back to my teaching style. My teaching style is like, let's figure out what will serve you best. I think at the end of the day, if being careful with my language on not calling things flat or sharp or saying wins versus challenges, never saying good, never saying bad, and living a little bit more neutrality will help get you out of your head.
Awesome.
But you're technically pretty much already there. Like that's what I'm going to be writing in my notes.
Like stuff like that doesn't hit my radar at all. Yeah, like you can tell me like that was shit or like that was flat. Like I don't care. Like
exactly.
Because I've been doing this for a long time. Yeah. Right. So again, different people.
Different
and
people
we adapt.
feel different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people like that was wrong again. That was wrong again.
Yeah.
And some people get freaked by that. Like, you know, it's very like, and that's just who I am as a teacher right now in the stages of me teaching.
Let's not even get into that because we're going to sit here for another 3 hours. Just like how my style as a teacher has evolved so much.
Oh yeah. Especially because I started full-time teaching while I was getting my master's in this.
Yeah.
So like it went from, okay, I know stuff. I know stuff to, I know a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah.
To, okay, I just learned about learning styles.
Yes.
To, I'm really going to apply that. And like, seasonal applications of things, and never letting go of like what I've previously learned, but what I'm learning right now, actually often aligned. I would have like one student come to me with a specific question and the next day in class we'd be talking about it. And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah. The universe.
I was like, I can solve that. I can help you overcome that challenge today. Today.
Yeah.
But,
I love that.
And then now that I've been out of school for just a little bit still, I am just noticing the way that I settling into certain things, understanding like personality types and what they want to achieve more, and like learning who's an artistry first versus a technical like those things. Yeah. So I could go on, but
I think that's a good wrap up there though. Yeah. Thank you so much for coaching me.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness.
And going on the roller coaster of my brain.
No, I love it. I think it's so fascinating to see the different styles and we can all learn from each other. So that was really cool. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me here today.
Happy to be here.
And for, being a part of VoxTape. If you want to do lessons with Emily, she's awesome.
Woohoo!
You should totally do it. And we can totally set that up.
Oh, yeah.
And just book a session.
Yeah.
But
just tell us.
Yes, just tell us how we can help. And maybe not the how we can help, but just like, we need help.
Yeah.
And then we're like, we're here to help. Let's figure out how. So, anyways, thank you so much for being here. Give it up for Emily.
Thank you.
And we'll catch you next time.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining. Bye.
Thank you.